Oh, welcome to this episode of Chakmah Choter. We're back discussing what can be learned about this unique individual that Yahweh said he was going to inspire and use to reach out to his wayward children during the last days. This individual, known as the Nakar or Nakri, as we will read his title in this next prophecy, was discussed at great lengths by Dode, and then again by Yahowah. And in between the two, we'll see him being brought up by Dode's son. He is the most important figure in the last days. This is the individual that God has deployed for the express purpose of accomplishing what has not been possible in the past 3,470 years. And that is to get his children to listen to him. So it is a big job. God has outsourced the project. Not surprisingly, he outsourced it to a goy, since there were no Yahud who were willing to listen. And because God likes to come full circle in his story, just as we were exiled from the Garden of Eden, we will return to it in the next 99 months. And just as God began his story with Goy, he is going to conclude it with a Goy. And so now, after being reintroduced to the Nakar, this observant foreigner, in Yahowah, Isaiah 56, we were drawn back to one of the most interesting prophecies ever made. This particular prophecy is dated to the day of the herald, Towrah, in year 961 BCE. This is 7 years past year 3000. The house for Yahweh's name has not only been built, but the doors have been opened for the first time. And the man tasked with building it at his father's direction is Solomon, a man also considered to be the wisest of men. And he is giving a commencement speech regarding what the children of Israel ought to pay attention to as they go forward in time. And at this moment in his speech, again, this is the day of the herald, Yom Teruah, at the dedication ceremony on Mount Moriah, regarding the opening of the home for Yahweh's name.
Say, when was it that Yahweh first talked to you? When was it Yahweh first communicated with you?
It was a Teruah, of course. And the Bashar Herald of Dode is directly associated with Teruah. This is the day of the herald. It is the day the shofar is blown. It is the day that we announce both the good news of Dode's return with Yahweh and also the warning that those who remain religious and political will not survive this day when it is fulfilled in year 6,000 Yah. And year 6,000 Yah is not 190 some years hence. It is only 99 months away. Mamadi's got the years all discombobulated. It is actually right now year 5992 and we are, just as I say, 8 years away from the final rendezvous with Yahweh. So this is what Solomon said. Moreover, in conjunction with this, regarding someone else, he's been speaking of his father Dode, who was our returning king, regarding someone else, who is the Nakri, this observant and discerning, especially responsive foreigner from a different ethnicity and geographic location, who will come to understand. El Ha-Nakri. Ha-Nakri. It is a title. You know, it's amazing that Jews are fixated on this arrival of HaMashiach. And they use Mashiach like it is the most important title to them.
Yep.
Do you know that Mashiach is very, very seldom used as a title? It is used mostly in conjunction with Dod, who is HaMashiach.
Yeah.
And it speaks of him being anointed and prepared for service in this way. But it is very seldom accompanied by the definite article, Ha.
True.
And yet there are titles that Yahweh uses, like Ha Nakri, that are always introduced with the definite article, making it a title. It is the Nakri.
Yeah. Just like Ha Shatan. Ha Nakri.
Yeah, the adversary. Yes.
That's right.
So this is a title, and it is a title in these two forms, Nakri and Nakar, that is used more than Messiah by a long shot.
Yeah.
And he plays a more important role in the last days than does the Messiah. So it is disappointing that with so many people who claim to study the writings of God, that there are so few people that are searching for the Nakri, and so many who are searching for an unnamed Mashiach, Messiah.
From an unnamed God.
Yeah, when in fact, the Messiah is not Jebus. There is no Mr. Christ. There is no mention of him being a Messiah. In fact, he was just a myth, a counterfeit, conceived by Paul in 52 CE. The Messiah is Dod. He was the Messiah. He is the Messiah. He is the returning Messiah. But his principal title when he returns is not Messiah. It's King. He's the Malach.
Yeah.
He's King of everything.
King of it all.
If you don't like Dod very much, you're not going to be welcome and forevermore.
Hardly.
But
and
the
religious don't like him very much, no, do they?
No, they don't.
No.
No, well, the Christians, of course, robbed him to create the myth of Jesus. So somebody you would rob, commit an act of identity theft, you obviously don't respect.
No.
And so the Christianity is based upon robbing Dod to create this myth of Jesus. Judaism was conceived by Akiba by, again, robbing the Messiah, Dod, of his due and creating a false Messiah, just as Paul had done for Christianity. So both Judaism and Christianity are based upon
false messiahs.
On
ding, ding,
creating
ding.
an identity theft, a crime against the actual Messiah and Son of God.
Yeah.
Dod David. And even in Islam, as Muhammad struck out with the idea of being a religious leader in Kaabaville and was looking for new digs, the only reason that he was even considered acceptable by the pagans in Yathrib is that they said the Jews there, that were 3/4 of the population of Yathrib at the time, were looking for and expecting the arrival of their Messiah. And Muhammad said, "Oh, that's me. I must be that guy."
Along came Mo.
And so Islam is based upon a false Messiah as well.
Yeah.
So the fact is, it's Dod who's returning. He is the king. And he has a herald, and his herald happens to be the same fellow as this Nakri. And the only difference between Nakar and Nakri, they are written in terms of the first three letters exactly the same, which would be Nun, Kaf, Rosh. The Nakri simply adds the Yod to the end of it that makes it the Nakri possessive. It either speaks of the Nakri being my Nakri, as an Adonai, with the way that the Jews use Adonai to speak of their Lord, being my Lord. It would be my Nakri, or it is used to say that the Nakri is the hand of God at this point, being the Yod. But the Nun shows that he is a son who is growing, anchored, and productive. That the Kaf means that he is offering something. He has an open hand, and he is offering it in this case, it would be knowledge, instruction, information. He's
So
the
how
one
much do
reintroducing Yahweh's name, for example.
Right. Yeah. Offering. All those books sitting behind you, are they free online?
Pardon?
All of the books you have written about the Torah and what we're talking about, are they free online?
Yes.
That's a gift.
Okay, that's a gift. Okay.
Mm.
The Rosh is the next letter, and Nakri, the Rosh shows a person who is observant, who sees, hears, and thinks before he speaks. So this is a son who is rooted, productive, and fruitful, who is offering a gift with an open hand, who is observant and listens, pays attention, and thoughtful, and that he is literally the hand of God at this time. So here we go again. In conjunction with this, regarding someone else who is the Nakri, the observant and discerning, especially responsive foreigner, from a different ethnicity and a geographic location, who will come to understand, who to show the way to the benefits of the relationship, is not of your people, this Yisrael. So we have been introduced to this person. So right in the middle of his speech, this is the real Sermon on the Mount.
Well, he's setting the context. Yeah.
Okay. So this is the real Sermon on the Mount. And what that means is that, and not just the Sermon on the Mount, this is the real Mount. This is Mount Moriah.
Yeah.
And this is no ordinary fellow. This is Solomon, David's beloved son. And this is no ordinary time. This is Towrah, and it is the dedication ceremony for the initial house for Yahweh's name. So yes. I don't know how there could be a bigger moment. The audience is comprised of the children of Israel. And right in the middle of his speech, after speaking gloriously of his father David and his relationship with Yahweh, he says, oh, by the way.
Here's this guy.
Oh, by the way, yeah. In addition to all of this, moreover, therefore, there is somebody else who is the Nakri. And he tells you something that had to be jarring for the children of Israel. They had gotten themselves in a fix, because even though God said, I don't want you to replicate the ways of the Goy.
Yeah.
I want you to avoid the ways of the Goy, which were to be religious and political.
Absolutely.
And so he said, don't do that. I don't want you to be like them. He wasn't saying anything negative about Goy. He just said that their propensity to be religious and political, you should not emulate. And they went and did that. And because they went and did that right before David, they chose Shaul, who became demon possessed because he,
as their king,
was argumentative towards the Torah. And so he got his head cut off by the Philistines. And this is, they know perfectly well what happens if you choose the way of the Goy, because his father became king because the people previously had chosen the way of the Goy. And so now Solomon is saying, oh, by the way, the guy that's being appointed here, he happens to be a Goy. He is an observant foreigner. He is not of your people. He is not a Israelite.
Which is tough news for the tribe, because we are highly insular.
Yeah, it is correct. And God's saying, and by the way, the rabbis know it.
But he says not
this person who is so prevalent throughout the prophets and the writings is a Goy. And so now this person being introduced at this period of time is not of your people, and yet he is the observant and discerning, especially responsive foreigner. Goes on to say, he will arrive at a moment in time for the harvest, and he will return. This is Bo. Bo means he's going to come, and he's going to go, and he's going to return from a different country after a long interval of time for the express purpose of being a witness and voicing answers regarding your vitally important name and the influence of your hand as an effective troubadour for trumpets, a prepared and capable person willing to engage in battle, who is resolute. He is empowered, proficient, but loud, always intense, and sometimes even harsh, overtly direct, and often overpowering, who is dependably steadfast. He is Shazak.
Shazak. There's that word, Shazak.
Man.
Yep.
This is a term that appears a lot, not only in association with the Snakkar, but also with Yahweh himself.
Yes.
Yahweh said that during the Exodus from Mitzrayim, that he led the children of Israel out with just like here, with a Yad Shazak,
Yep.
with a resolute, overpowering hand.
Yep.
And so this fellow, and we got more to say about him, and it gets even richer. But he's going to be an observant foreigner. He's not an Israelite.
Okay, we get that.
Okay.
Okay, so where is this? I'm sure that's the next question. Where is he from? Well,
no, it doesn't. Just listen to what is said, and then we can analyze what is said. We're not here to suppose anything. It says he's going to arrive at a moment in time for the harvest and then return. So Bo means he's going to come and go.
Yeah.
Now, there's not a lot of people that do that. There's only two others that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
One of those would be Doug. He has 3 lines.
Yeah.
Doug's already been here twice.
Happened to Mike.
And he will be here again. The second is Eliah. He has been here. He's going to return.
Eliah's definitely coming back.
This Snakkar, he's going to have 3 lines as well. He's here now, and he is going to return. He is going to be beaten to a pulp by Hasatan as the Anima Param.
Your mic died.
Your mic died. Throw up the technical difficulty.
So this, my mic is not working.
Nope. Seems we have a technical difficulty. Let's see if we can get that mic working. You ready, Wook?
All right, we're live again.
All right. Well, I don't know exactly where we left off in our program. We did have a microphone technical difficulty, but we, as you can see, with a much higher mic, we are have replaced the mic. Mics are really handy when you're trying to communicate through a live stream. Otherwise, it's would be very difficult for me to shout loud enough for you to hear me from the Virgin Islands to Israel, for example, or even across the United States. So we'll rely on this between now and the time I can shout loudly enough for this to come across. So here we are. We're listening to the Ultimate Sermon on the Mount. This is Solomon delivering the dedication address for the house for Yahweh's name, often called the First Temple. And he is stating that there is something that's going to happen in addition to all he has presented thus far. And this is the arrival of the Nak. This Nakri is an observant and discerning, especially responsive foreigner. And it says, not only will he show the way to the benefits of the relationship, Asher, that the Nakri is not of your people, this Yisrael. So he has been really explicit. You know, it's one thing just to say, oh, by the way, you should be expecting the Nakri. And by the fact that it is based upon Nakar, the people would have immediately known this is an observant foreigner. That's the primary meaning of the word. And to then double down and say, oh, by the way, he is lo men am ata. He is not of your people. That's a doubling down of, oh, by the way, he is not Jewish. And then he says, he is not of your people. This Yisrael, he has tripled down on this. At this point,
by the way,
let me just make this really clear.
Yeah.
The person that Yahweh is delivering at this time, the person who is the focus of this prophecy, and these prophecies run throughout the totality of Yahweh's prophetic revelation. They begin in the Torah and they go all the way through Malachi.
Yep.
And this fellow, he's a goy. You're looking at him. It says that he will arrive at a moment in time for the harvest and then return. Wabo. From a different country after a long interval of time. For the express purpose of being a witness and voicing answers regarding your vitally important name. Well, who would be the person that reintroduced Yahweh's name?
Yada.
These books, what do they say at the title of them? Yada Yahowah. What does that mean? To know Yahweh? What's the title under which we do these blogs? The Yahweh blog? Yes, I would be the fellow that, starting almost 24 years ago, reintroduced Yahweh's name to the world. And so he will be a witness, voicing answers regarding your vitally important name and your influence as your hand. Remember I said that Yod following Nakar suggests that this observant foreigner is serving as the hand of God at this time? That's what he just explained. As an effective troubadour for trumpets. What day was this speech delivered?
Towrah.
Towrah is trumpets. What day did Yahweh ask me to serve in this role?
That would be Towrah.
What day does this person lay down his life for Israel?
Again, that would be Towrah.
So he is an effective troubadour for trumpets, a prepared and capable person willing to engage in battle, who is resolute, empowered, proficient, but loud, always intense, sometimes harsh, overtly direct, and often overpowering.
I'll be the witness to that, yes.
Is dependently steadfast. When Yahweh describes him as the Adamah Parah, He ain't
Yes.
talking about no girly cow.
No, he's
It is
talking
a
about
bull who is productive,
and
is what
fruitful.
para means.
Mhm.
Adamah means he's a man of the earth, that he is bloody red. And so he's a bloody red bull who is productive. And bulls have a tendency to be overpowering. They're intense.
Very intense.
Yeah. So powerful. This individual, he's loud. This individual, he is intense. This individual, he's harsh. He does not care if he tells you that your religious leaders are parasites, because they are. That's what the rabbis are. They're absolute lying scoundrels that offer no value and are exceedingly destructive to Israel. I'm the guy who wrote 5 books to prove that Mr. Christ never existed, that Jesus is nothing but a myth that was conceived by Paul in 52 CE. He's the guy that had the courage to write 5 volumes to prove that Allah was modeled after Satan and that Muhammad was the worst man who ever lived, and that Islam is nothing but a death cult. I would say that's brazen. I'd say that's
very
intense. But anyway, God says he is a chazaz, and chazaz is the term that Yahweh used in reference to himself as he led the chosen people out of Mitzrayim, the crucibles of religious and political oppression known as Egypt. So like father, like son in this case. Then he goes on to say, after Shazak, and as your Zeroah, as the one cultivating the seed sown for your harvest, who is fruitful in your ways, when sowing the seeds which take root and grow, Zeroah. Of all of the titles that are ascribed to men, Messiah is not even in the top 5.
Nope.
But Zeroah is. And it may be numero uno. There's only 3 men.
It's a big deal.
Who were called Zeroah. Moshe, Dod, and Yada. And they are exceedingly vital to the well-being of God's people and the communication of his message and the enablement of his plan at the time they lived. There are 3. Zeroah is from Zerah. It means to sow seeds which take root and grow and produce. So Zeroah, the one cultivating the seed sown for your harvest, who is fruitful in your ways. He's speaking to Yahweh, your ways, when sowing the seeds which take root and grow, whom you have extended. He's speaking here to the children of Israel about Yahweh. And so this Nachri has been extended by God. It is God who chose him. If you think that God should have been able to find a Jew, if you think that God ought to have found somebody that was younger, more dashing or articulate somehow, a guy that wasn't quite as intensely opposed to religion and politics.
Yeah, somebody more tolerant.
Somebody more tolerant and accepting, who would speak words that would tickle your ears. Well, that may be your choice, but it wasn't God's.
You don't know our people. Yeah.
Because it doesn't say here, this was the guy that the rabbis extended. It doesn't say this is the guy the king extended. It says this is the guy Yahweh extended. You think that Yahweh extended the guy that he wanted to extend?
I think Yahweh chooses his own MVPs. Yeah.
So when he arrives on the scene and chooses to pursue this, which means the Nachri has free will. That means that there is aspects of the Nachri's personality that will be delivered through his message, that he is not simply an implement and a robot, a tool to be wielded, that God chose him because he does want to filter his message through him just as he chose Moshe for this purpose. He didn't choose Moshe simply because he was looking for a mouth
or an automaton
or a hand
yeah
to write. He didn't choose Dode because he was looking for someone to sing him songs.
Here's the thing that the people don't realize, that those who are in the Torah were real people with real families and real lives and real. It's just, they have the same issues we all do throughout time.
Yeah, God was given no choice, by the way, by the children of Israel, because when he came down to tell the children of Israel during the Exodus, before they even left Choreb, that even after giving them 3 days to get their act together and put on their best face and scrub up for the occasion, when God spoke to them, the first thing the children of Israel said is, please shut up and go away. We never want to hear from you or see you again, which means that put God in a position, since they also have free will, that he could only speak through men. And that is what he's chosen to do. But God chose that for lots of reasons. It would have been his preference anyway, because he doesn't want to overpower us. He doesn't want to overwhelm us. He's going to communicate through a person who reflects the attributes and the attitude that he thinks is appropriate at the moment. It doesn't mean that he is not going to be overpowering through that individual, but a man being overpowering and God being overpowering,
two different
are
things.
really different levels of manifestation. So in this particular case, he chose a person who is loud, who's harsh, who's uncompromising, who's unrelenting, who's tough, and is going to see the most difficult job in the world through. The most difficult job that has ever been given to a human is this particular one that has been ascribed to the Nakri, which is to get the attention of the children of Israel so they stop being so stubborn, so they stop being so belligerent towards God, so they get their fingers out of their ears, so they shut their mouths and start screaming, Shama Yisrael, Adonai Echad. No, it didn't say yibber yabber. It didn't say change God's name. It didn't say speak. It said listen. And so to get Israel to listen to Yahweh, who is your God, who is one, is, well...
Wait, didn't Yahweh say to listen to you?
Yeah. Okay. Heretofore, it hasn't happened. Even God gave up on you. Moshe gave up on you. Dode gave up on you. And now you got me. Now, I'm not going to give up on you. But the fact of the matter is, you're going to push me right to the very limit in this regard. So when he arrives on the scene and he chooses to pursue this, I still have my free will. I could give up on you. I'm just not going to. Coming, going, and returning for the harvest at this moment in time, Bo. Then, unaffected by societal, political, or religious influence, independently, he will help interested parties reconcile their relationship by providing those who exercise good judgment with the requested information and justifications to make reasoned decisions pursuant to this intervention regarding this familial relationship and family home. 2 Chronicles, words of the day, 6:32. When you hear this coming as if out of the heavens, listen to what comes from the spiritual realm. From within the location where you live, no matter where you are, then engage and act accordingly, doing everything which to show the way, Ha-Nakri, the observant and responsive foreigner from a different ethnicity and geographic location who understands, has proclaimed, and has invited you to read, summoning you for the express purpose of serving as this witness, as a teacher who provides answers such that all people of the earth will have a genuine and ongoing opportunity to become familiar with Yada, to know, to acknowledge, accept, and understand your name. Coming to respect and revere what pertains to you. Simultaneously, along with your people, Yisrael, individuals who either struggle and wrestle with the Almighty, or those who engage and endure with God. And also, so that they may know Yada, so they may acknowledge and appreciate Yada, because truthfully, he is for your name, that he is designated and called and welcomed, reciting out loud, particularly regarding the Mikra, concerning this home and this family, which to reveal the correct path to walk and to give meaning to life, I have built. Dabarim ha-yomem, 633.
Isn't that beautiful?
Well, that doesn't give you much wiggle room, does it?
Nope.
The Nakri is being extended by God. He is the observant foreigner. He is a Zeroah, which means he is the one cultivating the upcoming harvest, which would be Shabuah and Teruah. And he is first and foremost reintroducing Yahweh's name. He is speaking to the entire world and simultaneously to Yisrael. And that what he says, God's very clear. You need to listen to what he says and then do as he asks. Are you familiar with anybody else of whom that is stated? Because it most certainly isn't stated to the rabbis. It's not stated about an IDF general. It's not stated about a political pundit. It is stated of the Nakri, and only of the Nakri. You need to listen and then do everything he says. Now, I want to tell you, that's a lot of responsibility. That means I'm going to be really circumspect as I share things with you. As before we had microphone issues, and my wife was inferring, this implies something else pursuant to this observant foreigner. I said, nope. Well, I know where you're going with this. We can't go there. Not at this moment, because this testimony is specific to exactly these things. And what it says is a lot to process already. So we're going to go through it one more time, because Israel, you need to listen to this. You need to think about it. And then you need to respond and do exactly as I ask. It begins. In addition, and this is in addition to all the wonderful things that Solomon had already said about his father Dod and his relationship with Yahweh. Moreover, regarding someone else, this Nakri, Nakri, it's used as a title. This observant and discerning, especially responsive foreigner, who is from a different ethnicity and geographic location, who will come to understand, who to show the way, to receive the benefits of the relationship, is not of your people, this Yisrael. He will arrive at a moment in time for the harvest, and he will return from a different and distant country after a long interval of time, and for the express purpose of being a witness, voicing answers regarding your vitally important name, Hagadol Shem, and your influence as your hand, as an effective troubadour for trumpets, as a prepared and capable person willing to engage in battle, who is resolute, empowered, proficient, but loud, always intense, sometimes harsh, direct, can be overpowering, but dependable and steadfast. and as your Zeroah, one cultivating the seed sown for your harvest, who is fruitful in your ways when sowing the seeds which take root and grow. I'm smiling because here Solomon is referring to me as Yahweh Zeroah. It says, as your Zeroah.
Yeah.
We were reading from Yeshaya, Isaiah 56, as we were leading up to this. And by the 63rd chapter, Yeshaya is just ecstatic over the Zeroah. Same fella. And Yeshaya says, no, that's my Zeroah. Yeah. My Zeroah.
Yeah.
That guy, he is sowing my seeds right there. And Yeshaya is very, very, very happy of the work we're doing together. But this says Yahweh's Zeroah, whom you, Yahweh, have extended. When he arrives on the scene and chooses to pursue this, coming and going, returning for the harvest at this moment in time, then unaffected by societal, political, or religious influences independently, he's going to help interested parties reconcile their relationship, providing those who exercise good judgment with information and justification to make reasoned decisions regarding this familial relationship and the family home. So when you hear this as if coming out of the clouds, out of the sky, from a satellite, for example, you should listen to what is coming your way from the spiritual realm. From within the location where you live, no matter where you are. And then you should engage and accordingly, doing everything. Ashaka kol, which to show the way, Asher ha nakri, the observant and responsive foreigner, has proclaimed and invited you to read, summoning you, Kara el Ata, for the express purpose of serving as a witness, a teacher who provides answers, such that all people of the earth will have a genuine and ongoing opportunity to be familiar with Yada, to know, acknowledge, and accept and understand your name, coming to respect and revere what pertains to you, simultaneously along with your people, Yisrael. And also so that you may know, acknowledge, and accept, even appreciate Yada. Because truthfully, it is for your name that he is designated and called, welcomed, reciting out loud regarding the Mikre, concerning this house and this family, which to reveal the correct path to walk in life, to give it meaning, I have built. Dabarim ha-yomem, 6:32 and 33. I'm not sure there is a more profoundly important message for the world than this one.
I'm not sure there's more wonderful news for Israel than this right here, because we're in a world of hurt. And it has been a long time, A, since we listened, because we're always jibber-jabbering, and B, that we've had a witness from Yahweh.
I think there is better news for Israel. The best news for Israel is that Yahweh's name can be known.
Yes.
It can be cherished and pronounced. And that the actual Messiah and Son of God, the Savior, the former and returning King, is the most Yehud of Yehudim. He's Dod. You don't have to worry about what Messiah is coming. You don't have to pay any attention to the false messiahs of Jesus or Bar Kokhba, or that star under which you rally, which is the star of Bar Kokhba, son of a star. No, you're Messiah. He's Dowd. He's David. He's God's beloved. In fact, his name is in your name, as is Yahweh's. You are Yahud. It is a compound of Yahweh and Dowd. Yahud. You know who you are. You know your Savior. You know your King. You know your God. This is the gift that is being offered by the Nakri. He's not here to introduce you to himself. He's not here to solicit any homage from you. He's not here to ask for money or donations. He's simply here to introduce Yahweh's name, just as this testimony says, to share with you the information you need to know to return to Yahweh, so that you can receive the benefits of the relationship, so you know what you need to do to resolve the fractures that you created so many years ago, so that you can be part of that fruitful and productive harvest. That's why he's here. That's why he gives his books away free at yadayah.com. He's not here for him. He's here for you. He's not extended for God. He's extended by God to you. But if you don't listen, if you continue to pretend that you can be religious and make a God in your own image, if you want to pretend that the Haredi are somehow in touch with God, if you want to pretend that the Talmud speaks for God, if you want to pretend that that star is relevant to God, if you want to pretend that God is looking out for you at this time when he said that he is estranged from you, he has divorced you, he would like to rekindle this relationship, but not while you're in this present attitude. So, this is his message to you. You're currently estranged from him, but he is offering this opportunity. He is extending Ha-Nakri to resolve that. But to benefit, you must listen and do.
Would you say that Yahweh's extending an olive branch?
Absolutely. Yeah, Choter. Yeah, he's literally as one of the two witnesses, he is an olive branch. As a Choter, he is an olive branch. And truthfully, he is the branch off the tree of the knowledge of good and bad, so that you know what God thinks is good and what he thinks is bad. For example, the relationship is good, religion is bad. This is who he is. So at this point in his Sermon on the Mount, Shlomo encouraged Israel to defend the Nakri in the ways that Yahweh has expressed. It reads, indeed, when your people go out over a protracted period, doing so for battle against his enemies and their foes, in the way which, for the benefit of the relationship, you will send and direct them, on their own initiative, they should intervene and furnish justifications with copious arguments regarding you en route to this city, that to show the proper way you have chosen for this, along with the house that I have built for your name. In other words, support him. Those who speak against him, the religious and political, who are his foes, should be your foes. And you should be prepared to provide justifications and copious arguments regarding what he has to say about Yahweh. So you should listen at this particular moment in time. And Yahweh, you too will be listening from heaven to that which pertains to their wonderful request for intervention, to be distinguished and set apart. And you will engage and act at this time to resolve the dispute with them while being just and rational. 2 Chronicles 6:35. God is going to intervene, and he is going to answer the requests of the remnant of Yehudim, who will have reached a point where during the time of Jacob's troubles, there'll be no one else to turn to. And at that point, Yahweh will engage, and he will restore the relationship by still being just through the sacrifice of the Adam of Parah, which will take place on this same day of year on Towrah. Unfortunately, by contrast, it is certain that they will continue to be at fault regarding you, constantly going astray, bearing the guilt for leading many astray, because truly there will be no one, not a single person, who will not be wrong and miss the way, incurring guilt by leading astray. Israel, from the time of Malachi, who was the last to speak for Yah as a prophet, to the time that I was called to serve Yahweh just shy of 24 years ago. According to Solomon, and according to Yahweh, who is inspiring these words, there were none. There wasn't a single person among Israelites who wasn't wrong. And most were leading others astray. Therefore, you will be indignant and furious with them. This is Solomon recognizing that Yahweh is going to return to the same attitude that he had towards Jews during the Exodus. If you read most of the Torah, particularly through Numbers, Jews were so belligerent, God gave up and was indignant and furious with them. And so God's going to continue to be that way with most Jews until they finally return, till they finally listen to the Anachre that he has sent out and dispatched to them. And so you will offer them up, giving them into the presence of the enemy, so that they are taken captive, with them hauled away as slaves by their captors to a land and place far, and one that is near, quite soon and in a distant period of time. It would happen with the Assyrians, it would happen with the Babylonians, and it would happen when the Romans created the diaspora based upon Rabbi Akiba's false Messiah. And then when there was a return after the Holocaust. But ultimately, this now is your last chance. But by coming back, changing and returning in their best judgment, improved attitudes and ambitions, while in the area which they will be held as captives, yes, they were held as captives by the Muslims, were you not? And that was nearby. It is the most recent captivity. There'll be another. Alaska Flood 2.0 is within 2 years of occurring. And you will be held as captives yet again nearby, where with the Babylonians and the Assyrians, you were held as captives at a distance. There'll be many, many such times. You were held as captives throughout Europe as a result of the diaspora. And by turning around and changing so that they can be restored, this is the magic word with Yahweh. You know, when you're a kid and your parent says, "What's the magic word?" and you say, "Please." Well, in this particular case, there's a magic word with Yahweh. Shub. You return, he returns. Shub for shub.
Or no shub for you.
No shub for you. They will take the initiative to independently pursue a more favorable consideration towards you. showing some appreciation, kindness, and affection for you while in the place of their captivity. And, you know, the time of Israel's troubles, particularly just Eth's time, troubles is Sha'ar. Sha'ar actually means confinement. Israel is going to be shrunk in size, and Jews, as they have been so
We're
often,
already confined. We're surrounded by 55 million Muslims.
Are confined. So that's what this means.
Penned in, yes.
As a result, they will eventually say, we were wrong in missing the way and in leading others astray. With our corruptions and perversions, Talmud, our propensity to bend and twist, Judaism, well, also Christianity and Islam, which the rabbis also created, and our wrongdoing, such that our being malevolent has left us covered in our own guilt. But they change, and they will come back to you by exercising good judgment with a far better attitude, with the entirety of their soul and consciousness, while in the land which they will be held captives. And in the realm of their incarceration, well, they will be deprived of their freedom. You are entering the time of troubles. Israel, it's 11 months hence, and it will be worse than the Holocaust, according to the prophets. And it will take that to get you to finally shub. And without being prompted or provoked, they will take the initiative to mediate on the justification for intervention regarding the way to their land, which for the benefit of this relationship, you gave to their fathers, and the city that you have chosen, as well as the house and family that I have built for your name. It is the house for Yahweh's name, and you won't even say Yahweh's name. You think God's going to allow you to build a temple when you won't even say his name, and it is a house for his name? Then at that time, you will finally listen to their request for intervention and for wanting to be set apart from your heavenly dwelling place, which is where God is. He's sitting this one out, and he will listen again, but only once you request intervention, because you show a willingness to listen, and you will hear their pleas for compassion. Listen at this time from the spiritual realms, from your dwelling place where you reside, to their glorious request for the distinction of being set apart, which means being unreligious and non-political, as well as to their pleas for compassion. Then you will act to resolve the dispute with them, well, being just and rational with them. Mishpat means to ponder the implications of making good decisions, of being fair. And you will pardon your people, removing their guilt, releasing your family from their religious crimes, who have long been wrong about you. Now, my God, I implore, may it be that your eyes are open and receptive, and your ears are attentive to the glorious request for the unique distinction of this place, to take a firm stand, to rise up, and to be home. This is where the witnesses will come. It is the Temple Mount. And at this time, Yahweh Almighty, I want you to choose to take this stand to establish your dwelling, you and the ark of your might and power. Your priests, Yahweh Almighty, they choose to be clothed with deliverance and freedom, with a loud voice, and your set apart and devoted ones elect to rejoice in the generosity and prosperity that you are providing. Yahweh Almighty, Do not turn away forever. Don't fail to return. Shub, along with the appearance and the presence of your Messiah. And that Messiah will be his Father, whose name he shall soon mention. Your Messiah. Yes, Yahweh has a Messiah. When he returns, when he appears again, he is going to appear with his Messiah, his Mashiach, and his Mashiach is his beloved son, Dod. I want you to choose to remember the most memorable of men, recalling your steadfast devotion, your loyal love, genuine kindness, and enduring affection, your unfailing favoritism.
What the fuck?
For Dod, your co-worker and associate. Dod is the Messiah. Dod is the one Yahweh chose. Dod is the most memorable of men. Yahweh favors Dod. Reveal the relevant comparison as Shalom reconciliation finished and furnished the justification for intervention, following the fire descending out of the heavens. And it will consume the elevating offering of the sacrifice. Then the glory and the splendor of the manifestation of the persona and reward of Yahweh will completely fill the Bareth family home. God himself is going to ignite the fire under the sacrifice of the Adam of Korah on this day, Towrah, in your 6,000 Yah. And that's how he will intervene, descending from the heavens. And this offering, this sacrifice, will be accompanied by the glorious manifestation of Yahweh on behalf of the Bayeth, God's family and home. Yomim, words of the day, 2nd Chronicles, all the way now to 7:1. What an awesome depiction of what will come as we draw ever closer to the sacrifice of the Adam of Korah. This bull who is productive. And to Dod's glorious return thereafter, as Yahweh's presence will fill his home. Every word of this speaks of Yom Teruah, followed by Yom Kippurim in year 6,000, just 99 months from now, on September 24th of 2033. Recognizing that this speech was delivered on the day of the herald, 7 years shy of 3,000 years before its fulfillment, just as will be the Shavua harvest before Yahweh's return with his beloved son, Dod.
I think that's a long interval of time. 3,000 years.
That's a long time to be separated, but think of the joy of the family reunion. Well, since this addresses the role that I have been asked to perform to facilitate the Messiah and King's triumphant return, it's worth noting that it was spoken 2,924 years before I was born. 2,970 years before I was called and engaged. And 7 years shy of 3,000 years before I will have achieved what Yahweh acknowledged through this prophecy. That is not unusual, however, for Yahowah. Dod and I appear during the Exodus, at the time that Moshe gave up, when God wanted to say, no, we're going to get this done. You're going to get them to the land, and then I'm going to take it from there. And these are the two fellows that are going to make that happen. And one is Dod, Yahweh's beloved, God's beloved. And the other is my Dod, the one who serves as Dod's right hand. This man of Gentile origin, because he is from the sea, which is what my Dod would represent. And the very hand, the Yod of Dod.
Where do you live?
And so there we have them appearing, acting as prophets. 3,470 years ago.
I'll add to it the comment about the sea. We live on an island in the middle of the Caribbean Sea. Literally.
We do. It is also true that when Daniel, who was at best a scribe, he was not a prophet, received visits by three men. Those three men, two of which are named Yada, which is God's most capable and courageous man, Gabor, and El. That would be Dod.
Yeah, and Michael.
And Michael, which is the one who is right about God, who is Yada.
And he's a man. They're both men.
They're both
It says
men.
they're men.
Yeah, neither of them
They're not angels with wings.
Angels. And that they are joined by Eliah. It's the same three who will perform in the last days on behalf of Yahowah and the children of Israel. And we are having a conversation with a man 2,600 years ago.
Where did he live?
And so it is only with Yahowah. Well, Yahowah took his prophets in the past forward in time and then back in time so they could write about future history. Well, he has taken individuals like Yada back in time to explain what was going to happen in advance. And the whole discussion in the 12th chapter of Daniel, which has remained sealed until this moment, I was able to deduce in these last 3 days and unseal it. And here we are now, where I can tell you that Dod is the prophet, and I'm explaining his prophecy, and he is laying out exactly what's going to happen between now and the time he returns.
An interesting point is that these men are talking to Daniel, which means his name literally means Yahweh is judgmental.
Yeah, God is judgmental.
And he's speaking to a man in Babylon. You want to tell me what Babylon means?
Yeah, to confuse and confound. And you've got Dod giving the much of the prophecy, and it is Michael, his herald, that is explaining it. Mm-hmm. But also in the presence of Eliah.
Yeah.
Because he will be the master of ceremonies, and he's a huge part of what happens. And, at first when I began to realize that there is no other option than Michael is this Sennacherib, you feel really odd. How could you be having a conversation with somebody 2,600 years before you existed? And then you realize that with God, time doesn't exist the way that
it only exists for people on this
plane. And so he's fully capable of taking somebody, a soul, back in time.
Or forward.
Or forward in time. That's how prophecy works. So you just don't try to wrap your head around it, because, it would probably hurt. But that's how he communicates. That's how prophecy works. He takes people forward in time and then back in time to write about it. So in this case, he took Dod forward in time and me back in time, and we meet together. We have this discussion, and we part corners and fulfill our roles when we're called to do so. It is.
I think we'll understand time much better once we cross over into Shavua, Towrah, one of the harvest or Lakat. But until then, we won't know.
Yeah. Time is difficult for us to wrap our heads around. And the reason is that time is actually a dimension. Just like up and down, right and left, back and forth are dimensions that we seem to understand. We can perceive those three dimensions because we're a three-dimensional construct that is stuck in the ordinary flow of time. Well, time intersects these three dimensions in a way that we can mathematically calculate, but we can't mentally perceive. And as we are empowered and enriched by God through the covenant process and the Moed Mikra, and we become multidimensional, we're going to go from being three-dimensional to 4, 5, 6, and 7-dimensional beings. And in each dimension, we're able to navigate in another dimension, with time being the next along the way. And the amount of empowerment, the amount of processing power, the perceptions that are required to be able to deal with the infinite increase in numbers of possibilities as you increase dimensions are so far beyond our grasp. But I can just tell you, if any of us right now were just immediately taken into the fullness of the fourth dimension, the noise and the light would be overwhelming. The options would be, we would be so disoriented, so overwhelmed that we couldn't deal with it. So we have to be empowered and enriched.
We have to become interstellar beings to understand time.
We have to be more like light. A photon of light time exists. And this is what we must be for us to be able to explore the universe. So anyway, it's been a fun discussion, Leah, here on this Tuesday evening as the sun has now tucked behind the sea on the western side here of our little island. And we thank you for listening. I apologize for the technical glitch in the middle, but that's part of doing a live stream. We think that it is far more credible for us to turn on the lights, the cameras, the microphone, and to speak to you, with you, about you, spontaneously, than it is to have something that's polished and rehearsed. It's just more credibility that way. When Moshe gave his speeches, he didn't duck into the tent and say, I want to practice this 3 or 4 times before I deliver it. When Yahowah spoke to you at Torah, there wasn't a dress rehearsal. And he said, let me try it a number of different ways and see which way that we'll do a study group and find out how people respond to this. No, that's very spontaneous. And while he has thought all of this out, he wants us to be genuine. And that we are. And so sometimes just seeing how we respond when there are challenges along the way tells you a lot about us. Do we get upset and frustrated and throw things around the room, or do we just simply resolve the problem, move away from that obstacle, bring in a new mic? Because, my view was when I was asked to do this back in December by Yahowah, that if one mic was good, 12 would be better. One camera was good, maybe 20 would do the job. As I'm surrounded by lights, if 2 or 3 studio lights would be good, how about 15 in every studio? So we're prepared, we're committed, we're resolute, and
Johnny on the spot.
And we're shazak, as God would say. And it's important that you see us as we really are. So I thank you for listening. You have a wonderful evening.